Alright, I think I finally have a working, reasonable approximation of an actual MX-3 rear suspension. I'm using Assetto Corsa's very not at all documented multilink option with the two lateral arms, the trailing arm as they are on the car. More or less, I measured those as best I could and used the real world measurements. The upper, I guess, lateral and trailing arms here are meant to sort of approximate the linear movement of the strut. So they're just really, really long so that, the movement over that distance follows a circular arc, but one with a long enough radius that it may as well be a straight line. Maybe I should make them even longer, I don't know. Anyway, I need to change a lot of the default values in the setup yet here. I'm just sort of guessing 32 and 28 PSI are going to be some good, cold numbers with this setup. Another thing that I'm really happy about is, this is interesting. Now, the last time I did this, the toe was drastically different left to right, so something might still be a little goofy here, but it's way too sensitive. But you can actually adjust the toe. In the previous strut geometry, the toe adjustment just didn't work because I was using a steering arm to be the trailing arm, and Assetto Corsa insists that toe is adjusted by moving the car end of the steering arm left and right. So obviously if the steering arm is pointed forward and back along the z-axis more or less, that doesn't work. But now toe adjustment does work. Interestingly, now it is back to being way off left to right. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. And now it's not. So I guess adjusting it, adjusting it changes something. Let's see here. Camber. Yep, camber adjustment also works. That's really handy. It does work more or less, I think, the way it does in the actual car by moving the lateral arms out. That's cool. Looks like the most I can get is 1.6 degrees in the rear. 1.5, I guess, if I want them to be equal. That's probably as much as you could get on the actual car anyway. Maybe even more. I'm going to try 2.5 on the front. It's close enough. I'll leave the toe where it is, but just check that the adjustment does work. Yeah, it's a lot more subtle than in the rear because it should be. But yeah, let's try this out now. It looks pretty reasonable to me. Oh, another thing I've updated since the last video update, I gave the car more accurate power and weight figures, which meant it lost about 15 horsepower and gained... Oh no, it only lost about 10 horsepower, but it also gained about 200 kilograms, so it is much slower than it was previously. Oh, now this is interesting. When you turn the wheel past a certain point, the steering feedback reverses. That was an ill-advised downshift. So, like at this point, for instance, it is pulling the wheel further into the turn rather than the force sort of pushing it back to center. Here it's going on too. Take a look at the telemetry numbers when it happens so I can hopefully see what's going on. I don't think that would be anything with the front axle because that has largely not changed. Or I guess the front suspension. Here we go. That was deep into the negative feedback regime. yeah, I'm not sure what could be causing that, but otherwise it feels a lot better than it did previously. Before it would... the rear tended to lose camber when you got it really heavily loaded, and it was just very loose, and now it feels nice and planted, and yeah, I rather like this. Aside from the goofy negative steering thing, this drives really, really nicely now. Unfortunately, the model obviously needs a lot of cleanup and an interior. I can see a few triangles whose normals I'm going to have to reverse on the cowl there. But there's just no way I'm going to make any meaningful progress on that before I have to leave for my training in a week. So I'm going to put the car on race department as like a work in progress before I go. If anyone wants to try it out, you're welcome to, but this is what you get. It's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be full featured, but it is going to be a car that you can look at the outside and tell what it's supposed to be, and hopefully drive something kind of sort of like the real thing. I guess, oh, I was gonna say I'll try to finish this lap because it looks like I might set a new PB, but oh, that's not gonna do it. I'll still try. I might be able to make up some time in the last 3 turns, and that'll give me another chance to check the suspension numbers while the steering gets into that negative feedback range. There we go. There's some more negative feedback. Oh, I guess I must need second gear there. Whoops. So this isn't going to be any sort of record. All right. I am quite happy with this. Obviously, for how much work I've been able to put into it, there's a long way to go, but so far, for what it is, I think it's feeling pretty good.